Well, hey there, it's Elke. I just saw
And
the
Jen,
recording button go on.
and Jen, and this video is for you if you are looking to find opportunities on how to make money online in 2025, especially with the world of print on demand. And Elke and I, this is my mom, and my name is Jen. Elke and I, Jen, my name is Jen. This is Elke. We are a mother-daughter duo, and we help people make money online with print on demand, specifically with Zazzle. And today in this video, we're going to be covering some of the print on demand platforms that are available for you to make money online and talking about them and hopefully convincing you to choose Zazzle, which is the one that we've been working on since 2008. And now we are helping our clients make money on that platform because personally, myself and also Elke, we have tried all of the other platforms more or less. The only one that we haven't tried, which we're going to talk about, is Spoonflower. But besides that, we've been on other print on demand platforms to try and figure out the pros and the cons and how easy it is to sell on those platforms and how easy it is to make money on those platforms. And so today we're going to be talking about the best print on demand options for 2025. So welcome.
Yeah, and we're not going to screen share and show you each thing because that's lazy, right? What we want is the insider take on what's working, what are the benefits, what are the pros and the cons basically. And all we're really looking for is and choose both or more than one or whatever if you want. But the key here is what's going to be consistently giving you cash that you can do as a business and put a lot of time and invested into it, right? And it still pays off further down the road, years from now. And this is a big decision that you have to make right now. If you're just starting out and you're deciding to be on one of these platforms to make money because you've come at this from Instagram or somewhere else where you realize, wow, so many people are making so much money. I've got to get into this. And now you're going like, but which one? And also, do I take one? Do I take more? And if you've already tried these platforms and you've gotten some success, but frustrated that it's not enough and you thought it would be more, then maybe this is your time to just reassess, give it another look at, and see which one truly is going to work for you down the road. Okay. And I say that with respect because most people go like, oh, I'm just going to put something up fast because I saw this person show like a t-shirt was selling on Etsy, and after going through the Everbee platform to get the results of how much this t-shirt made, and I'm going to go to Canva and we're just going to put something similar up on Etsy and I'm going to make millions of dollars. I'm being really dramatic here. I find it very disrespectful that people do that because they're just trying to get you to hook into their Instagram feed, and really that's not even their t-shirt. They've not even made that money. And maybe, but they don't say it's their t-shirt. And what we really want to do is go like, let's cut through the noise and the flair and the fancy, this is how much you can make, ooh, here's my Lamborghini, to what can a real person do in real life in 2025 to catch onto the wave of these very fantastic platforms that do provide a way to make money online consistently and effectively. And so we're just going to give you those kinds of heads up, high level assessments based on our opinions. So you can take your own opinion if you want, but if you want to take ours, then this is a video for you. The second thing we want to just add into the whole thing is we have a framework which is called perceivable, passive, profitable. And that's what we measured all of these platforms on. We measured them on, is it perceivable for us, right? What do we need to do to make money? Do we feel like paying ads? Do we not feel like paying ads? How much, do I always have to pay for a listing, or do you not want to pay for a listing? Do you want to, have your products up all the time, or do you not want to have all your products up all the time? Things like that are what you have to just sit there and make a list. What's perceivable for you as to how you want to run your business? And then, of course, passive, which we're very big on because even though you have to do work, you have to set up the business, you have to continue to maintain it, but you do want to have it as passive as possible so that you don't work for the business instead of the business works for you, right?
Mhm.
And then the last one, profit, my favorite word, because profit means that even though someone can claim that this t-shirt made this much money, how much money did that t-shirt actually cost to make that money, right? How many ads dollars did you have to spend towards it? How much did you have to pay in listings to keep that thing up and running to have people to buy it or see it, right? Because Etsy is getting really picky about that. You have
Mhm.
to pay so much on ads just to be able to have your listings seen. Absolutely, like, just don't even just say that's a non-negotiable, that you don't do that. But so those three, perceivable, passive, profitable, are really great ways to assess how you want to set up your business. Because guess what? As much as you're coming in at this going I just need money, I want to make money. So which is the best and how do you do it fast? Don't forget that you have to honor yourself and say, how is this business going to work for me? And how is it going to sustain? Look at from your perspective of how do you want your life to be? Because you're going to put a lot of time and effort into this to make it work and to continue it and make it go to the point where it's not just a little bit of money, but it's scaled and at the level that you want, like our clients, which are at this point making $100,000 to $200,000 a year, some of our top clients.
Mhm.
And they're still working relatively low hours because they've used our system and our framework and proven strategies to get there. And but not everybody does that, right? Some people are working a lot longer, and they just haven't made that decision that they want to work less hours. So, but you are the one that has to make those decisions and stick to them and do that as a non-negotiable. And then you'll know your secret sweet spot as to what combination of these print-on-demand companies or the actual one is going to be your best suited company that you want to work with. Or you might even decide, hey, after all of this, I'm just going to go do something completely different, which is totally fine because it's you that's developing this really cool thing called a business that's solely yours and you get to make all the decisions. So let's help you make that decision. Okay.
Mhm.
I
All
hope that
right.
wasn't too long of a soapbox, but this is knowing that we started in 2008. If I would have heard someone say that, I would have made some decisions more for me a long time ago before struggling for a lot of years just to try and make something work. Because we were, like John said, on all these other platforms and finally something worked. And so we go okay, let's keep going with that. But had we understood that we have a choice, it would have been probably a little bit different. And we had someone like ourselves to give you, this is how you do it if you want to be successful on this platform. That would have been really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one that we want to talk about is it's been in the news recently, news being online news, is that Society 6 was one of the platforms that we personally used when we started out on Zazzle to just dabble into the other platforms that we could maybe sell our creations on. And one of the things that has recently come up is that they've actually said to their artists that signed up way back when that they are removing them from their platform. And so if you had a store, and if you haven't kept up to obviously their standards of artwork or the selection process, and I don't know particularly, both Elke and I don't know what that is, but I know that they're trying to curate a lot more of the artists that are much more graphic artist inclined. So you have a lot more intricate designs or more funky designs as well, rather than it being Zazzle is a completely different platform, so you can sell pretty much whatever you want on Zazzle depending on the design. But Society 6 has started to cultivate this sort of culture of different designers that are indie designers, and they're a lot more skilled in terms of the way that they create those designs. And so if you are not up to those standards, you have received an email that says that you are going to be removed from their platform. And both Elke and I received those emails because we have been, designers on that platform. And previously, we would upload some graphic designs that we created in Photoshop. And I have personally seen the progression of how they have wanted to make it much more of that artist industry to sell on the print on demand platform with Society 6. And yeah, so if you received an email and said, sorry, but you're no longer allowed to be selling on this platform, then you've been removed, because previous to that, it was that anyone could open up an account and sell on Society6. Society6 also had, some other limitations compared to Zazzle, because they didn't have the opportunity to individually customize certain products. You uploaded a design, and then that design was put on a whole bunch of, like, a wide variety of products, but you weren't able to really customize it and make it your own in terms of moving things around and adding text, etc. And it was just the way that you uploaded that design. So that was one reason why Elke and I didn't pursue with Society6, because we saw a lot more possibilities with the Zazzle platform. But once again, recently, if you have been a Society6 member and you weren't selected to be part of their platform anymore, you're no longer allowed to sell. And now, in addition to that, anyone who might want to sell on Society6, you have to go through an application process. And no one is able to open up a store for free and also just as is, right? On Zazzle, you are able to start a store and start selling no matter what your qualifications are.
Yeah, and I think the pros of Society6 is obviously it's attracting a certain audience. They do have a lot more traffic on the platform than Zazzle, but as Jen mentioned, the limitations are you couldn't even adjust your design. So if you didn't have the design just exactly right in terms of the file that you uploaded, then it wouldn't look right on the product that they just sort of auto-populated on. And I didn't like that they just like dramatically just said, that's it. Or, sorry, you're no longer on the platform. What if you had been, I mean, obviously they wouldn't have picked someone that was selling on the platform. However, yeah, I think it's just very, I don't even want to get into that, because that's just like something you're going to react to, right? Like, oh, that wasn't very fair or something. I think it's more that on Society6, you were limited to the one thing that you were able to, like, multiple designs you could upload, but that design was it. Whereas on the Zazzle platform, if someone liked a certain design, that's great. But if they liked it with a photo or they liked it with text or whatever, then you had so many more options to sell different types of products using that one design. So you've got a multitude of options on the Zazzle platform to utilize the design in multiple different ways, compared to just having slap-on graphic, as I call it, opportunity. And so if it was like you couldn't even change the color, you had to upload another image if you wanted to have it in a different colorway, etc. Where so much of that is available on the platform on Zazzle that people can customize. And so your market is limited compared to the ability to sell to multitudes on the Zazzle platform. Okay. Mm-hmm. What's next? At this point, we're going to run into like half an hour, 40 minutes here. But I hope everybody really resonated with that initial overview, because it's really important. This is your business. You want to know what to really choose. And we're hopefully giving you some really good insider information. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The next one is that Etsy, talking about just the one point that we're always kind of pinpointing on, is that Etsy makes sellers pay for listings. And although Etsy does have a lot more traffic, like Elke mentioned with Society6, compared to Zazzle, because if you go in, you see, search results and the traffic that's designated to each of these platforms, Etsy is much more well-known than Zazzle. However, there's a couple different things that are limiting Etsy sellers, especially if you want to sell print-on-demand products, because initially Etsy was for people who are makers. And so Elke and I have been on Etsy because her and I both sold or tried to sell artwork and also jewelry and, clothing items that I made and she made. And so we have had the experience on Etsy being a maker, not actually a print on demand, type of person or creating these templates. But Etsy doesn't even really allow you to use their platform as is to create products like Zazzle does. What you have to do is, if you are trying to do a print on demand business with Etsy, you actually have to go to a third party create it on Printful or Printify, and then put your listing on the Etsy site, right? And in addition to that, so it's like 3 different, platforms that you're using to create, your design, which maybe would be Canva. Then you're creating that Canva image on Printful or Printify, and then you're listing that listing, sorry, on Etsy. And so that's a lot of steps that are in between. And then in addition to that, Etsy makes you pay for your listings, and has, in terms of sending ads to it. I know that Zazzle does a lot more marketing internally and externally than Etsy does to promote their sellers. And so Etsy is just a lot of work if you're trying to get into the print on demand space and have a lot of the work done for you. Etsy probably isn't really the greatest platform. And actually, most of the people, well, not most, sorry, a lot of people who have been on the Etsy platform have come to myself and Elke for coaching and mentoring to move over to the Zazzle platform, because it gives them a lot more opportunities, especially if they aren't using Printful or Printify, but they're creating these templates for people for wedding invitations and stationery, and they are creating, let's say, Canva documents or PDF documents, and then selling those listings as just a file. And the fact that also Etsy isn't real-time customizable, where you're not able to, see the product in its fruition after the person has customized it, unless they go to, or unless you as the seller have that connection with Printful or Printify as well, which I'm not too familiar with all of them, and I don't think they even have such the robust customization option that Zazzle does, right?
No,
And so
right.
they're just the fulfillment for printing the product that you created as is, whereas Zazzle is an opportunity for customers to change the templates that you've set up, and then they can change the product right then and there on the platform.
Yeah, they get to see it. Yeah. So what that does, like that's walking you through what makes it better for the customer, but for us as sellers, it makes it more like a higher conversion. There's not as much that has to be an instructional ahead of time to go, like, trust me, this is going to work. You're going to get this PDF document, then you get to upload it into here, and that's going to give you instructions, and you're going to get a link here to Canva. Then you're going to be able to play around with your, whatever. Instead, it just says here's how it's going to look, because you're going to put your information in. Do you like it? Do you want to change it? Here, click the edit menu. So it's going to be easier to like just make those small changes if you want, and then press buy, and then you're done. And the seller, which would be us and you, would be receiving an email from Zazzle that said, oh, so-and-so from California just bought your invitation, right?
Mhm.
And you had nothing else to do with it because you just set it up properly at the beginning. Whereas all the rest of it would have been first, the customer would have probably taken longer to purchase. They would have contacted you a bit more often. Like, we hardly ever get anybody contacting us yet.
Mm.
Those sales keep coming in. And all of that time takes away from your profit. Remember the 3, perceivable passive profit. Then also just having people buy quicker because they can see it, and that's trusting. This is what I'm going to get. So the conversion factor is higher on
Mhm.
Zazzle compared to Etsy, because
Yeah.
all of the other stuff is just not. They just have to trust you that this is all going to work. Okay.
Exactly.
Who else do we have? Oh yeah, Spoonflower. Okay, go for
And
it.
last but not least, we're talking about Spoonflower today, and Spoonflower has limited customization opportunities, kind of like what we just mentioned with Etsy, where you're, and also Society 6, let's say too, because you're uploading a graphic or a surface pattern, and then you're putting it on a product. Spoonflower is majorly, fabric and, yeah,
Home decor
tapestry and
stuff. Yeah.
clothing and apparel and all of that. Yet it's not really a customization website. You're buying the pattern as is on the product. And then also they have limited product offerings, that being related to the Zazzle website, where Zazzle has over 1,500 product types and styles, from business cards to skateboards to keychains to jean jackets to etched glassware to wooden, what are they called? Serving trays, and also cutting boards. as well as invitations and t-shirts and mugs and all of the traditional print on demand products that you might be thinking of. But they have so many different opportunities for you to create products, in addition to what might be limited on Spoonflower, which is just sort of the fabric and apparel type of things.
Yeah, I think the only thing, and it was kind of funny because I had a report the other day where someone complained that they couldn't get a swatch. So they were used to Spoonflower, but they were on Zazzle. But yeah, that's the only thing. And sometimes I don't know if that's still a thing. Someone can put it in the comments, but Spoonflower would normally get you to buy a swatch first, so before they, agreed that this pattern was something that you could upload and sell. I don't know if they still do that, but they did for a long time, and that's what dissuaded us from being on there. It's like, why am I going to buy up something from every single pattern I put up there? Zazzle doesn't let me do that or make me do that. I can just upload everything anyway. So that kind of limitation on product type and also the restrictions, again, is one of the reasons why it was so much more lucrative on Zazzle, because they, as Jen said, I believe they have every single type of product that Spoonflower has and more when it comes to material,
Yeah.
and no jumping through hoops.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you just made me remember a thing that I wanted to say too. Society 6, I can't remember when we were on if they limited the amount of products that you made, but I know that when I uploaded my graphics to
Yeah.
Society 6, it didn't allow me to choose the products that were posted. It just gave me a variety of them with my graphic on them. And
Yeah,
then
it's because of the file size, right? Yeah.
yeah, and then Etsy, you have to pay for each listing, so you're very, you as the designer are very, constrictive. Well, yeah, constrictive of what you post for sale, because if you don't want to pay for the listing, or if it's not perfect or whatever X, Y, and Z
Well, yeah,
reason,
it
then
runs into profitability, right? Like if
yeah,
how
and
much money
then
do you want to spend on this
same with
product, or
Spoonflower. Oops,
yeah,
sorry. Yeah, and then
if you
I was
want,
just gonna say same with Spoonflower, if they have some sort of, restriction, like you just mentioned about purchasing the swatch before you could actually use that, template or that surface pattern. But Zazzle, you can post as many, not as many, there is a limit. What's the limit again?
100,000
100,000, but you can post as many
products.
variations of the product, different styles. If you have a really great design and then you tweak it just slightly, you can post that product as for sale for another version of it, and you don't pay for the listings.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all it is. That's all we have to say on that. Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's very robust. But in terms of even when you're doing things on Etsy, and if despite everything you go like, no, Etsy has way more reach and I'm making more money there, that's good. That's perfect. But consider consider a balance between Etsy and Zazzle, because Etsy, as John mentioned, you have to liaise with a print-on-demand supplier that does print the products and acts as your direct, indirect shipping, right? Because yeah, you're not really shipping it at that point. The Printful or Printify is shipping it, and what Zazzle has is extra products that Printful or Printify doesn't have, and that's again that just broadens the reach as to what you can sell. And so if you have a great design that's selling on Etsy, make sure you use Zazzle for any products that aren't available for you through that sort of marrying of different platforms in order to get a print on demand product to be selling on Etsy. You can't link Zazzle to Etsy. You have to sell Zazzle at the on Zazzle. You
Hmm.
can't use it as a print on demand supplier. But because of that too, and that it really helps you create your own brand and identity on the Zazzle platform. There's obviously that opportunity on all the other platforms, but if you stay consistent throughout, then the names that you use for each shop can actually help you pull traffic from branding that and customer awareness to your Zazzle store, and then you've got two platforms that you're selling on, right? So it's a win-win, and I would highly recommend that, even if you're a fan of Etsy but so many we have so many Etsy converts, and one of the things we didn't mention is taxes, right?
Oh,
So sales tax for anything you sell on Etsy is a nightmare because they don't help you with that. And if you're selling internationally, it becomes quite the quagmire. And so that's one of the reasons, a big reason why a lot of people moved over. But the second is it's much more robust, better conversion, more possibility for selling without having to create every single design and knowing exactly what the customer needs. So much breadth of ability to sell more, and you have a more focused customer that's interested in buying multiple things. We have a lot of clients that do really well because they sell multiple products to the same customer, which can happen on Etsy for sure, but the platform just doesn't allow things like collections, which is a really great option and feature that Zazzle has that allows you to do a lot of cross-selling.
Mhm.
And it can increase your customer value 5 to 10 to like multiples. Like it's not just like it's wonderful. You can take normally you'd maybe make a $5 to $10 um, sale on Etsy, for example. And now all of a sudden you can make it $100 to $200 to $300 per customer on Zazzle because of these options of cross marketing and providing the customer with multiple different items all in one place, and they can just, and it's all passive because they're doing all the selling and buying on their own. Okay,
Mhm. And
all
that's
right.
it, I think.
Was that a good overview? I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so that gives you lots of food for thought. If you're now going like, I need to figure out what's going on with Zazzle, then please take advantage of this next coming week. We're going to be hosting a whole bunch of master classes and the link will be in the description below, basically telling you what you can do to increase your sales in 1 month on the Zazzle platform. It's fine if you're a brand new beginner, you're going to know then what to do to start off correctly. If you are on Zazzle and you go like, I'd love to know how to sell more in 1 month, please join us. We will give you some very good take-home next step suggestions and literally action steps to take so that you can do just that, although we can't ever make income claims. So just it's educational, but on the other hand, it's quite educational.
So click
Okay.
the link in the description to join, and we will see you next week. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.